I don't know if I'm capable of actually doing a quick video, because I start talking and then I talk and talk and talk, and it's like half an hour later, when the reality is like 15 minutes would be enough. But I think sometimes when I start getting talking, when I start to get talking and stuff and it's distracting me from how I feel, it's like kind of a reluctance to stop talking and go back to feeling the way I do or did before I started the video. So I think that's why I sometimes just carry on. But I've just come upstairs to have a shower and wash my hair, and normally I'd wash it in the morning, but I don't want to get up at 6:15 because I'm not sleeping well at the moment. Like, hello? Hi? Yeah? You're beautiful. So, rather than just have only like a few hours sleep, I'd rather just wash my hair and dry it now, and then not have to worry about doing that in the morning and set my alarm for like an hour later, and then it's less stress to add to what is already stressful anyway. I don't really want to talk about work again today because it's just getting me like worked up and stressed out, and you know, it's like affecting me, and there's not much comments I can make about that. I've already, like, I just need to sort it, obviously. But they do similar things to other people, but it's just like me that's getting the really bad time and taken advantage of, and like a lot of like employment laws are being broke regarding me, and just getting put under enormous pressure. Like today with the work they gave me, one of the things is just so like I have done before, but the person who gave it to me, because obviously she's been told to give me some work, she gave me something knowing that I will have great difficulty with it, but she doesn't particularly want me there because, like I keep saying, I've gone in above her. So she's like, either, well, there's lots of things really, but she's given me something that's just, I was straight onto Google, and when I saw what it was, I was like, I know what it is now, but how the hell I'm going to do it, I don't know. And I've been trying to do it, but she's not giving me all the details that she wants putting onto this thing. I can't remember what it's called, like I was stressed out about it. Something matrix, training matrix, something like that, something matrix anyway. And she does them all the time. She's always done them. She's got, like, I'm gonna have to, like, I don't even know how I'm gonna do it. Trying to get stressed out because it affects the illness that I've got. Like, it makes the pain a lot worse when I get stressed. So I've started working on a draft for it, but until she gives me all the information, I could spend hours on this thing and she could go, well, I don't want that. And I'm like, and I know it's on purpose. She's like pushing me to my limits on that one, but she's, do you know what, I'm not even going to go into it because every time I think about it, my illness, like the pain is just like so horrific. So I've just thought I'd have a shower now and dry my hair tonight, so when I get up I'll have I'll have to obviously straighten it, because I'm just going to dry it. I'm not going to straighten it for bed, obviously, that'd be a bit stupid. And then just gives me like an extra hour in bed, because like last night I just couldn't get to sleep. I didn't even want to go to bed because I was so stressed out at what's gone on at work, and like the law breaking and everything else, like the bullying and whatever. So I was awake, and then I started filming that video last night, and I was trying to upload at the same time, and when I woke up this morning it still had nearly 2 hours of a video to upload, and I was like, I can't do it. I couldn't, because I had to leave for work like an hour and a bit later, so I couldn't leave it uploading. So I don't know what's going to happen tonight, because I need to upload these videos so I can continue with the daily videos, but at the same time I feel like I should film, because it distracts me and it stops me from doing whatever, because obviously I'm in a really bad headspace with everything, and they do help. Like, believe it or not, having a camera on all night helps. I know that sounds crazy, and like, I'm not going to go into why it helps and what it stops, but it does help doing that. But at the same time, I could be uploading 1 to 3 videos a night, which I really need to be doing. So I don't know, I'm under enormous pressure, and then I've got to see if I can go to my doctor's appointment Friday. They're not going to let me. They've stopped me from going to appointments before. It's the only workplace where you have to, well, only me has to go to the doctors outside of working hours. Everyone else can either come to work and do the work and then go and then come back and do extra, or they could go to work early, start early and go out for whatever time, and then they still end up doing the same amount, or whatever. Like, I would have swapped Friday for Thursday and worked Thursday instead, like I did last week, but because it suited them for me to work Thursday, it was okay. But I bet if I say to them I want to do Thursday instead of Friday, they won't let me, even when I explain why, and all I'll get is, you need to book appointments outside of work hours. But everyone else can book them whenever they want. They can go out for 2-3 hours. They even put in the timesheet that they worked. Never gets questioned. If I did that, I'd get questioned. I won't get paid for it. I don't even get paid for all the hours that I work. I'm so uncomfortable. So, oh god, it's a really bad angle. And that's a bad angle. Whatever angle I choose, it's going to be bad. So I'm probably not going to be allowed to go to my doctor's appointment on Friday, and I need to see my doctor. So I don't know what they want me to do, but everyone else is allowed to go to appointments except for me. They've stopped me to go on other appointments. Like, I'm finding it impossible to go to appointments that I need to go to. Like, and it's important I go to my doctor's, because I was looking actually to get an appointment Friday, because there's only 2 doctors I'll see. There's only one I really want to see, but she's not available till next week, and I've got an appointment with her next week, and I can't wait till next week. I simply can't wait. Like, I wouldn't like make an appointment if I didn't need to go. Like, I'd rather not go and sit in a doctor's waiting room and wait ages to be seen. But I need to go, and I know what's going to happen. I'm not going to be allowed to go. It's happened before. They've stopped me from actually going to the doctors. Like, I'm pretty sure that's illegal, stopping someone from going to a doctor's appointment. Like, it's not easy getting an appointment at my doctor's to begin with. Like, you practically have to wait several weeks for one sometimes. Like, the one that I normally see, it normally takes an average of 2 to 3 weeks to get an appointment to see her. So I've been like looking every day and trying to find out if she's got any, and she doesn't. And then luckily today, an appointment must have got cancelled, because the one who I'm going to see normally isn't available. Like, normally he's like harder to get an appointment with. It takes 3 to 4 weeks. But I've not been seen for a few years after a comment that he made. But I'm happy to see who I see, because I feel comfortable with her, and like, I'm happy to talk about whatever with her. But to be honest, I talk about absolutely anything with anyone now. If anyone asks me anything, I just tell them. Like, I don't really care anymore. Like, when I was in hospital last time, I didn't care who came and like prodded me and poked me and asked me numerous questions and asked me whatever. I didn't care. I gave up caring. Like, even time before, I gave up caring, because I used to be like, I didn't want anyone to like ask me questions, or like I hated it if like 5 doctors turned up, or well, it's not 5 doctors, it's normally like a doctor, a surgeon, a junior doctor, the nurse, and probably someone else. And it used to really bother me because I didn't want to like answer the questions, but I don't care anymore. Like, I've given up caring. Like, they could bring out the hospital in to look at me and like examine me, and I wouldn't care anymore. Like, it doesn't bother me who comes in. Like, I was at an appointment the other week, and practically I thought they was going to like get the whole waiting room in, because one came in, then another came in, and another came in. I'm thinking, does anyone else want to actually come in and have a look? Because it did get to that point. I was like, anyone else? So yeah, I don't care anymore. I just, like, obviously I find it easier to talk to some than others, because it depends how they are with me. Like, when I went to see the nurse to get my flu jab, I think I had it on like the 6th of November, and I really like that nurse. I get on with her really well. We had a good chat, actually, not about the flu jab. We talked about something else, and it makes all the difference if they're like really caring and can like understanding, and that you can have a conversation with them, because there are some that you just can't really have a conversation with, or aren't really that interested in what you're talking about, or like they just don't ask questions or anything like that. So it's nice when you get a really nice nurse who you feel comfortable with, or a doctor, or whoever it is. Like, I saw another nurse not too long ago, and she just made me feel so at ease. And it's just so nice when you get people like that, especially when you're going into situations like medical situations and things, even if it's nothing like, I don't know, weird. Not that you go to doctors about weird things, well, maybe some people do, but it's just nice when you go to like whatever, and like you can just, like, there's nice doctors or nice nurses or nice whatever, and I'll happily tell anyone whatever they want to know. Like, I've said things today to someone that I probably shouldn't have said regarding my job, and I've probably said stuff on here I shouldn't say, but it's making me ill, that job, and it has been for a long time. And my doctor's told me to leave because she knows the true extent to what's going on, because I've not revealed everything on here. I know I said like quite a few things yesterday, but they're just pushing and pushing and pushing, and it shouldn't even be a stressful job. And it's not actually the job, it's actually the people and what's going on there. And like, it's not just me they're doing it to, there's other people, and it's not as bad and it's not to the same level, but they're constantly forcing people to do things that they don't want to do, or forcing them to give up their rights, like give up the rights to have sick pay and holiday pay and things like that. And it's illegal, but they just don't care. It's just about money, money, money for them, and not about treating people right, or looking after them, or, you know, keeping staff happy. Like I said, I think it was yesterday, someone left, and he spoke to me before he left, and he really like let me into what was going on in his head about, you know, how he felt about it and why he was leaving. And without going into too much details, because I don't want to go over what I said yesterday, but he said that when he first started to work there, it was like a big family, and everyone got on really well, and everyone wanted to know everyone, and like it was just really friendly, and the manager was, and the owner was happy to go out the way to make your life easier, and it was really nice. And, you know, so much has changed, and, you know, he was pushed into doing certain things, and then people were being employed who weren't very nice, and they were gossiping, and like there was one person who's actually, she resigned last month actually, because they got rid of her daughter, because the thing about where I work, they don't like you having a private life. So if anything bad happens in your private life, they get rid of you because they don't want people there who've had bad things happen to them. So maybe that's why they're giving me a hard time, because they know something about my past. But she basically got beat up by a boyfriend, which I know what that's like, and when I found out what had happened to her, I could understand that. Like, one day she came in and she just burst into tears, and I didn't know what had gone on. And when I spoke to someone I worked with when she'd gone, she went, "Oh, something's bad like happened, I'm sure she'll tell you at some point." And I was like, alright, it must be pretty bad for her to burst into tears, like just walk in and burst into tears. And then she went, "Yeah, it is, but I can't tell you," which is a bit rubbish. Well, not a bit rubbish because I wanted to know the gossip, but because she does gossip about everyone. So I was like, bit weird that you're not telling me, but you know, she doesn't like me, she's trying to get rid of me. Well, a dream or a wish will come true very soon, I'm pretty sure, because I'm not going to keep putting up with it. So basically, I think a few days later my manager said such and such is leaving, and they basically said to her she needed to take time out of work, but they had no intention of letting her come back, basically. So, and she said she's definitely not coming back, but we've let her think she can come back, she just needs to sort her life out. And I'm sat there thinking, because she told me that her boyfriend had beat her up, so I'm there thinking, if someone beats you up, like, why would taking their job off them be fair? Because surely that's punishing them more for something that is not their fault. Like, she didn't ask her boyfriend to beat her up, but he did. And they're saying she's being beaten up by her boyfriend, it's upset her, so we're getting rid of her. And my manager, knows a bit about what happened with me and my ex, and she sat there telling me that, like, she didn't want her there because her boyfriend had beat her up. And I'm like, looking at her, and I'm like, alright. She's like, I just don't want it here, I don't want people with personal lives. I went, but everyone's got a personal life. She went, well, anyone who's got that going on in their life. I said, but she didn't do that to herself, someone did that to her. And I just left it at that, because I thought if she carries on, I'm just going to walk out of here, because I didn't ask my boyfriend to beat me up. But does that mean I should lose my job? Because I know that they kept bringing up my personal life at one point, and my manager was actually trying to get rid of me, and the owner kept me because he didn't want to get rid of me, because he'd know how much it would cost to get someone else in to do what I do. So I was just like, I was a bit taken back by it all. And then a few weeks later, her mum's boyfriend, basically, he didn't get sacked, but he got called into the office because I think he was working and there was an incident and he wasn't happy, but he didn't do anything. He just was like throwing his weight around in front of a service user, but not in like a really bad way. So he got called in the office, and he wound himself up about it, thinking he was going to get sacked, basically, and he wasn't. They just wanted to talk to him, and they wouldn't have sacked him because obviously he worked a lot of hours and they needed him. So he'd worked himself up, and it was actually my day off, so I didn't actually see it, and I'm actually glad I wasn't there, because apparently, and actually I've been told it weren't as bad as I was told. So I got told that he'd come in and gone up to one of the other office staff members and called her a little shit, and was ranting and raving, and then he went into the management side and threw his uniform at the owner and basically was screaming and shouting, this is what I was told, and then stormed out. In other words, sacking himself, because that sort of a behaviour isn't acceptable in the office. And I thought, I'm glad I worked there with this big bloke coming in, screaming and shouting and throwing his weight around, because I don't need that after what I've been through. So then his girlfriend, who's the mother of the girl who they got rid of, actually the day before that happened, she come in and she was sat talking to me, and she kept asking me questions, and I didn't really know what was going on. I didn't know there was a problem with him. He'd been called in at that point, but he hadn't been in, and he was actually meant to come in with her to see me because I needed to see them both. So I was like, where is he? She's like, oh, he's really busy, he'll come in next week. But she kept asking me loads of weird questions about him and stuff like about the office. I never heard anything and didn't know what was going on, and I was like, I don't know what's going on. She's like, have you heard anything about him? I'm like, no, because, you know, it's not my job really to like make sure that staff are behaving. I'm only like involved, know anything what was going on. And then obviously I think it was the 2 days later, because I was off the next day, I was told that he had basically come in and done that. So anyway, afterwards she kept coming in and like going on about him, and she cornered me outside and she's like, do you think he'll get his job back? And I said, well, based on what I've been told, I wouldn't have thought so, because it's not acceptable to come in the office and throw things around and shout at people. And I said, like, I understand his frustration and how your daughter like is lost a job, but he's just made himself unemployed for absolutely no reason, because he worked himself up about it. And I said, I'm the wrong person to talk about it, because I'm not involved in the hiring and firing. I just possibly would have been there when he got called in, because obviously I'm part of management, but I don't really deal with it. But I would have, you know, added whatever I felt needed if I thought everything weren't being covered, or I would have maybe batted on his behalf and said it from his point of view, depending on what was going on. I said, I don't know what was going on, but obviously I would see it from both sides of the situation. I said, but really, you shouldn't be asking for him. If he wants his job back or wants to try and get his job back, he's the only person who can do that. I said, it's pointless asking me, because I can't do anything. The only thing I can say is you need to tell him to ring my manager up and ask for a meeting with her and the owner and explain his actions. But the fact that he's been screaming and shouting in the office, I can't imagine he'd be allowed back. But I think it would help his situation by just apologising and just speaking to them. And then she asked other staff members, and then basically I think about 5 days later, when she realised that they weren't going to ring him and offer his job back, she come in the office. And it was again when I worked there, and I'm glad it wasn't, because I don't want to be sat there when people are coming in and shouting. She come in and she threw her uniform on the floor and resigned. Well, she gave notice. So I'm like, is this a new trend? When you want to leave your job, you just go in and throw your uniform all over the place and storm out the place? I've named it doing a Billy, because he was called Billy, so we've named it doing a Billy. So if you're going to resign or quit, you've got to go in, shout at people and throw your uniform on the floor. That's the new way to resign, apparently. So she did that when I worked there, and I got told she was leaving. But then my manager said, oh, but just hold back on like getting all the paperwork sorted, because she's probably going to change her mind. So my manager kept saying to the other office staff, just text her and find out when she's going to hand a notice in. So she gave notice, because they didn't think she was going to give notice. And then my manager went, she's going to come back begging for a job back on the lead up to Christmas. And so far she hasn't. So she's obviously got another job somewhere else. But it was all because her daughter got beat up. So there is a lot of unfair treatment going on, and people like losing their jobs because the boyfriend's beating them up. But I don't understand why you would sack someone because they've gotten beaten up by the boyfriend. I can't comprehend how they're thinking, and all they go on about is they don't want you to bring your personal life to work. But like I said, she's a young girl, I think she's 20. She doesn't understand that the best thing to do would be to take a few weeks off to sort her head out, because obviously she was upset. I mean, it's not pleasant being in that situation, but it does, like, I can't think of the word, it builds up if you hold it in, what's happened to you. And even if you've not held it in, it does affect you, because I know with what my ex has done to me, like one of the last times he hurt me, I went to work and I burst into tears, like for absolutely no reason. I burst into tears, and I thought I was holding it together. I thought, oh, I'm fine, it's okay, I'm going to work, it'll be a distraction, I won't even think about it. I walked into work, literally 12 seconds, or probably 12 seconds, probably like getting a bit too close to the time here, but I burst into tears and I was upset. And you know, I thought I could like pretend everything's okay, but I was upset. But she was only 20, she was obviously getting upset at work, and she was like telling people, but I don't think crying at work, like when you're doing your job, but they just sacked her because of what someone else did to her. And that to me is the worst, because I know what's happened to me. And if, well, basically my manager found out one of the last times my ex attacked me, and they basically tried to get rid of me because of it. So that's why they were trying to get rid of me in, well, when I took that month off sick, they'd got told about my ex had attacked me, and they called me in, and she was trying to get rid of me because of my ex, and she kept going on about my private life, and I didn't realise at first, and then I got told it was because she knew one of the last times my ex had attacked me. So basically they just sack people because bad things happen. And I just feel like it's hard enough being hurt by people, and then for you, like your boss or your manager, to find out and sack you. Like, it's so wrong, people getting sacked because someone's done something to you. So me being open and honest is finding it really difficult, because I do talk about things that have happened. Not like, I don't just like randomly go into details or anything like that. I don't just like, but there was someone in the office talking to me about, I don't know, I think it was just before I went away, and she was going on about, I think it's her ex was giving her a really hard time, and she's like, he's done things to me that really affect me, and like, I don't know if he wanted her back or something had happened. And I was talking to her, and she's like, I said, you know, you can tell me anything you want, I've probably been through similar. And she's like, what have you been through? And I just said, look, my ex used to beat me and other stuff. I didn't want to like get drawn into a long conversation in the office, and it was just me and her in that room, but the others could hear in the other room if they weren't talking to other people, because I think there was other people in. And I was like, you know, I've been through it. And then she revealed some stuff to me, and I was like, don't get back with him. I said, my ex blames me all the time, and I mean, I blame myself anyway, like, I know it's my fault, but I said, don't go back. If you can get away and not even be tempted and feel like you have to do things, then don't. And she's like, well, I don't know what to do, because, you know, I have feelings. I said, but it doesn't mean it's right. And she's like, well, I don't even want to get into it, but basically I was talking to her for about 20 minutes, and afterwards she went, no one's ever talked to me about it the way you have. I said, but maybe they've not been through it, and sometimes you need someone who's been through it and who's still going through it to just say, you need to step away from it if you can, because it's not always easy. And you know, my ex still comes and finds me, and he just, you know, he says he's never going to leave me alone, and it's something I'm going to have to live with, but she doesn't have to live with it. And her situation is slightly different, but she's also got children to think about, and I said, like, you can't have violence around your children because you'll get them took off you. And she's like, you're right, I can't, it's not fair on them. I said, if anything, even if it's not for yourself, you need to keep out of that situation, because if your children are witnessing that, you know, you will potentially lose them, because children shouldn't be around that. Just watch my dog do the laziest scratching ever. She makes me laugh at times. But yeah, and I've been on longer than I planned yet again. I'm meant to be in the shower washing my hair so I can get up an hour later tomorrow, hopefully. So I'm probably going to end this video now, and I don't know if I'm going to film again tonight. I've actually been sat working because I've got the biggest amount of work to do, and I've fallen behind on everything else because I'm trying to get that work done. I'm stressed out, I'm very ill, I'm trying to go to the doctor's Friday, but my work's probably not going to let me. They're going to stop me. I know what they're going to do. It's just making my life impossible. Like, I can't do anything because they're stopping me, they're taking money off me, they're punishing me. Like, I'm actually getting punished for things. I'm getting stopped from doing things. I'm stopped from going to the doctors. They're saying if you go to the doctors, you won't get paid for the whole day. So basically, if you don't come to work, if you go to the doctors, you can't come to work that day. And Christmas is coming up, so it's like I'm probably going to have to put up with being ill even longer, because there's no way. I'll be shocked if they let me, I'll be honest. But I've definitely got to go. Otherwise I'll just be sat here for an hour. I need to take my makeup off. I've been using like my Charlotte Tilbury palette every day, and I need to stop because it's going to run out, and it's £60. And I use 3 colours, even though there's a lot more. There's 3 that I absolutely love.